Good morning, afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be that you're watching this video. This is the next in the series of Ask Lloyd videos. And today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine. She is a coach. She's a wonderful person, and her name is Larisa Harrington. And before I start our conversation, Larisa, let me just tell the audience what I can about you. So, Larisa is an executive well-being coach. She is a consultant and trainer. She's got 20 years in the U.S. Air Force retiree. She's been working in this field for, what is it, over 2 decades doing health and wellness. She is a coach, a consultant to individuals, to organizations committed to making a positive impact in the world. And she works on focusing on mindfulness, boundaries, emotional intelligence, and communication. And I want to welcome you, Larisa. And we're here at Ask Lloyd, and we were just talking just before we came on camera that this happens to be the Emotional Intelligence Awareness Month. And I was not even aware that that was one of the months, but I'm glad that I have you here for this month, and we're recording this in October of 2022. So welcome, Larisa.
Thanks, Lloyd. I'm so honored to be here and I'm excited to be a part of the series with you. Thanks
And
for having me.
it's always great having people who know something that I don't know and my audience doesn't know and could really add some help in their lives. Because as you know, at Malik Law, it's not just the legal problems that my clients are going through, but there's a lot more to it. And whenever I could add some value to my clients' experience going through this difficult time, I most certainly do. So let's just get started. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So one of the things I want to ask you is, um, well, since we'll do a little transition from family law. So as you know, a lot of people who may be watching this channel or this series are looking for, or maybe having some interfamily problems, typically with a spouse or other type of parent, baby mom, baby dad, um, and maybe going through some thoughts about a divorce. If you were working with clients, or when you work with clients, how do you deal with people who are going through hard times? Of course, we're talking about the professionals, but why don't you tell us a little bit about the professionals you work with and how you deal with them in this type of situation?
Yeah, thanks, Lloyd. And I want to start by just saying I love that you always talk about taking care of the whole person in your law firm and that holistic care that you offer people, because that's the same way that I work with people. And we focus on the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health and well-being of, these purpose-driven professionals who are trying to do great work in the world. And sometimes they really struggle with taking care of themselves with their health and taking care of their family in their way that their family needs and wants to be taken care of. And so one of the most common things I hear from people who are doing really great at work, who are making a positive impact, is that they don't even realize how much their family is suffering, how their relationship might be suffering with their spouse or their kids, because they're so focused on making money, they're so focused on providing for their family, doing great work in the world. And oftentimes then they're not even aware of how that's impacting their family. And so when we think about that holistic well-being piece, I think the first part of it is mindfulness, which I
Mhm.
also love that we are aligned with that, because I know you have a meditation practice as well, right? That mindfulness of, we have to be able to pay attention enough to know what's real, what's really happening in our life, not just being focused on the business aspect of it. So, bringing in that emotional intelligence piece for that emotional intelligence
That's
month
true.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
I do have to say that, when I was growing up, there was nothing there. I don't say there was no emotional intelligence, but it just was not a thing that people talked about, or even, was not common parlance, nor was work-life balance, which seems to be one of the major issues that professionals are going through. I mean, we do have our lives, and we do have our jobs, and we do take care of this person, that person, customers, clients, family, parents, what have you. And
Mhm.
I guess there's a thing that I'm thinking about: burnout. What do you what about, do you see people burning out, or what do we do to prevent someone from burning out from all the pressure that they put on themselves to perform at such a high level?
Yeah, so it goes back to the same thing for me, that mindfulness and emotional intelligence aspect of it, right? A lot of people that I work with, they're burning out because of perfectionism, people pleasing, not knowing how to say no, and taking on more than they really can, that more than they can in a sustainable way. And so when, yes, I see that very often now where people are becoming burnt out and it's impacting, it's not just about work, but it's impacting how they show up for their family as well. And so when we are integrating mindfulness into our life, when we're able to pay attention, so we're not waiting until we actually are exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally, that we are taking care of ourselves more proactively on a more routine basis instead of what we see a lot now. It's like go, 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 go until you crash, until you end up in the hospital, until your spouse says, I'm leaving you.
Well, that's something as a professional, a hardworking professional in the legal field, there are a lot of us lawyers who have that issue as well. Again, we're not here to talk about lawyers, but we're talking about any professional, really. I can certainly see how it is, in going through life. And one of the things that I have come to realize in working as hard as I do, and we all do, is that there are times in the middle of the day where I just have to crash. I have to sit down, take a breath, take a breather, and that's when I do my meditation practice. And I find that I get recharged, and I'm able to go several more hours into the evening if I need to. And so I definitely can say what you're doing is great. And so, what can you tell me about the well, specifically, like, what would you do? Say, if I were to give a referral to you, or someone here wanted to use your services, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to know that they just need to be in a place where they are ready to put in the work to make changes. Because when a lot of times people are uncomfortable, but they get comfortable in that discomfort and they don't want to do anything to change it. It's
Mhm,
easier for them to just kind of wallow in that. So they have to be in a place where they're ready to do something and they're ready to take personal accountability, responsibility for where they are in their life so that we can do that deep inner work to help you really create a life that you love, where you are thriving at work and in your relationships and with your health. And sometimes that means the best thing for you is to get divorced.
okay.
And sometimes that means you need to go to counseling and work on boundaries and communications and other things. But it's being ready to take action.
Well, that's right. I mean, there are many, many people who have come through my office, been clients, and basically they're not really living their full true life because they are caught in the um I guess the morass, or the they are just always stressed, they're always concerned, they're always worried, they're just unhappy, and they're not, whatever they do, they don't seem to be getting the fulfillment from their spouse. Uh, and maybe sometimes it's abuse, sometimes just growing apart. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons for this, but that certainly is something that you never want to see anyone get to that point. And it seems like if they come to you and they are able to work with you, they may actually be able to, I don't want to say that you're a divorce coach or you're a marriage counselor, because that's not what I'm talking about, but just this whole mindset in general might be a better place to keep in good spirits. So and also, I see that there a lot of the clients who I have, some of them start just ruminating in their thoughts, and it's so hard for them to break out. I've seen that, and I wish it was more I could do, but I'm glad that there are people who could possibly help them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as if someone were to come to you, would it be they call you up, they meet you on Zoom, they meet you in person, they say hi, and then you tell them a couple things, and then they're done? Or is there more to it? What's the program?
Yeah. So typically I work with all of my clients virtually on Zoom, just like we are now, or sometimes people prefer being on the phone, but I don't really do one-on-one in-person
Mhm.
engagements with people. And sometimes people just need a one-time 90-minute intensive sessions where we can get clear on next steps for them, because I work with people who are high performers, they have a lot going on, and sometimes they really just need that clarity. And then some people are working with me on a longer term engagement, like 6 months or a year, even, where
Hmm.
we're really going deep to help them feel fulfilled in all of the different areas of their life.
Well,
So it just depends person to person.
I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm sure my audience is appreciating what you're doing. And that's about all the time I have today because right now I have to start preparing for another trial. But it is great that you were able to come on to Ask Lloyd. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody who tuned in and got to this point in the video. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have any questions that you want to submit to Ask Lloyd, there is a button somewhere down there that you could click and or at least go to my website, maliclaw.com, and send me a message. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Thank you.